Welcome back to Gruber Motors. I'm Pete Gruber, and I hate to break it to you, but you're collecting the wrong cars. Let me tell you why. The internal combustion engine appears to be on its final lap. A global ban on any further production of internal combustion engine vehicles is well underway, with numerous countries participating and more added every month. Ban deadlines range from within the next few years to the next decade or two. Even major internal combustion engine vehicle manufacturers have begun setting planned fossil fuel vehicle phase-out roadmaps. In the US, a number of states have already adopted mandates to reduce vehicle emissions to zero by 2050. So let's break this down. The end of internal combustion engine vehicles, fossil fuel burners, which are loading up our planet with carbon, heating it up, melting ice, raising sea levels, creating weather anomalies, and methodically destroying our planet's ability to support life as we know it, will no longer be made. You know what's coming next: a ban on driving and using them. And it's coming just in the nick of time, since our planet is heading towards some unthinkable changes, culminating in eventually making it uninhabitable. As EVs take over, and eventually the only vehicles allowed on open roads, a large number of details still need to be worked out, ranging from EV production capacity. In essence, will there be enough EV producers available for this transition? To ban enforcement issues. Will the charging infrastructure keep up? What about the grid capacity? In other words, where will all this power come from? So how does this affect collector cars? The first question to ponder is, if you cannot drive your car, what is the point of storing it, maintaining it, and collecting, unless of course you're a museum with an antiquities section next to the dinosaur exhibit? It is estimated at present day there are approximately 2 billion internal combustion engine vehicles in use on this planet. How many collector cars are there? Well, the best estimate we have is from Hagerty Group, which sells classic car insurance. They estimate the number of collector cars in the US alone at roughly 5 million, of which 58% are owned by baby boomers, or those born from 1946 to 1964. There is currently $35.5 billion in global collector cars. So we're going to talk about a couple of types of collector cars, the ultra rare and the classics. Ultra rare are a very small run, limited edition, iconic vehicle, so valuable they do not see the open road. Whether the manufacturer is still in business is irrelevant, since no spare parts are usually available. These cars are typically found in exclusive private collections or museums, occasionally trailered to car events, and some are not even safe to drive, like the original Barris creation Batmobile. Some of the ultra-rare, holy grail collectible cars include 1962 to 64 Ferrari GTO. Only 36 of those were built. The 71 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible. Only 11 of those were built. 68 Ford GT40, 126 built. The 72 Lamborghini Miura SV, 150 built. And one of my favorites, the Type 57 Bugatti SC Atlantic Coupe, with only 4 built, but only 3 accounted for. One of them owned by Ralph Lauren. The next category of collector cars are the affordable classics. Hagerty Insurance is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for collectible vehicles, and they maintain what's called the Hagerty Market Index, which tracks prices and volume of classic cars that sold at auctions and private sales. Adjusted for inflation, their data indicates that prices dropped 1.9% from June 2020 to May 2021. All indications are that the collector market is heating up again and heading towards the all-time high in August of 2015. This index averages the values of affordable collector cars from the 1950s to the 1970s below $40,000 in valuation. So this group of cars was well within the purchasing ability of the average buyer, often stored in extra spaces in a multi-car garage, and enjoyed on the weekends, often paraded to car events. The great part about car collecting, unlike a stock portfolio that has no visual or emotional value, price value declines in car collecting are not as troubling, since these are beautiful machines that will continue to please impassioned souls even if some of the monetary value is evaporating. So I am a car collector. As a lifelong car enthusiast, I not only collect cars but have made restoring them a hobby. Cars are an essential part of our lives, and like clothes, can be an expression and extension of our personal tastes, or a way to relive an era. Those of us that have this passion take pride in owning and restoring vehicles. A phase that I personally went through was interest in the muscle car era, since I grew up in the 60s when these beasts ruled the roads. Often brightly colored, noisy, and fast, they inspired all of the teenagers in that entire generation. I owned a Ferrari for 23 years, which at the time, starting a business, I could not really afford. I restored muscle cars on the side, and at some point bought one of the world's fastest track cars, the ACR Viper. My eventual conversion to EVs began with the Tessa Roaster and expanded into owning one of 3 T0s, the car that started and inspired the creation of Tesla. What do collectors look for in a car? First of all, is the manufacturer still in business? Does the legend still live? And better yet, a manufacturer that's still around improves the chances that they can still support the vehicle. 2, are the production numbers low? Is it rare? 3, what makes this limited edition vehicle unique? Recognizable and a cult following brand like Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, Jaguar, Porsche, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Shelby. Did it start a trend? Was it a game-changing design? Does it define an era? Early cars replacing horse and buggy, post-World War II cars, 50s and 60s muscle cars, and the most recent starting a new era is the EV disruption era. 4, does it have provenance, a record of ownership, any original documentation, build sheets, brochures, manufacturer's promo items, and best of all, does it have an interesting story that goes with the car? What is happening to collector car prices? Prices began to edge downwards recently. COVID curtailed auction events, which was no longer confined to merely cars changing ownership, but had morphed into huge circus-level media events, creating much attention on a global scale. Cars were sold to the highest bidders, of which there seemed to be a never-ending supply. All indications are that post-COVID activity is again focused on a growing market for collectible cars. So what is the future? A valid and growing concern is, as the shift to EVs away from fossil fuel vehicles gains momentum, reducing demand for oil-based fuels can result in higher processing costs and higher prices at the pumps. Higher oil-based fuel costs will accelerate the transition to EVs, which also have a lower cost of maintenance. The inevitable transition to the newer platform of electric vehicles should make any collector curious what EVs may become collectible. The obvious choice to future-proof a car collection is selecting a vehicle that can be driven into this century. Forget hybrids. They spew some hydrocarbon emissions, and they will also eventually be banned. The list of EV choices over the last 100 years is very slim, and the obvious choice becomes Tesla's first sports car, the Tesla Roadster. At the time of publication, nothing in the Tesla vehicle lineup or emerging EV producers comes even close to the sporty styling, bright colors, the unconventional look that we have begun to expect from collectible cars, especially when compared to European exotics. The Tessa Roadster is already beginning to move up in value, reaching a low point in early fall of 2020 when fully functioning Roadsters were selling around $40,000. Today, the same level Roadster is fetching around $100,000 to $125,000, still about 10 to 20% less than the MSRP. Check out our website under Roadsters for sale. We have 13 posted and the list continues to grow. The turnaround began almost intuitively before even Tesla's official announcement of a next generation battery pack solution, which had kept prices depressed as owners were concerned whether they would ever be able to drive their cars again once the battery packs died. An ill-fated attempt at a replacement pack in 2017 by Tesla was scrubbed due to engineering problems. A solution came just in the nick of time, since many of these battery packs in the cars are going on 10 to 13 years, with an original projected service life of 10 years. J.B. Strobel, the CTO of Tesla for 15 years, and instrumental in the design and creation of the Roadster battery pack, admitted to me a couple of months ago that the pack life is exceeding all expectations, but cannot go on forever. He still owns 2 Roadsters, one of which was the first battery pack, still going strong. A collector car devaluation and crash is just around the corner. Except for extremely limited production vehicles like Ralph Lauren's one of 3 Bugatti Atlantics, which will survive the collector car sell-off, there's a huge collection of other collector cars that will soon be unloaded faster than the large engine 60s muscle cars during and after the 70s gasoline crisis. The interesting thing is, despite the inevitable collector car crash coming, the car collecting fad will not go away. The money tied up in this hobby will just move into something else, and most of it will most likely remain in automotive. That being the case, the obvious choice is the early limited production Tesla Roadster, and perhaps even extend into the early Model S sedans. The limited edition Roadster, with only 2,400 built and an estimated 2,000 left globally, provides a collectible sports car that meets the new zero emission standards, but the best part is it's a car that you can drive once the bans are in full effect. Watch how the Tesla Roadster also clicks off all the aforementioned collectible eligibility checkboxes. 1, the manufacturer is still in business and even making another second generation Roadster, which will become the fastest production car ever. And factory support for the first generation Roadster continues. 2, the production numbers are very low. Only 2,000 of these cars are left, which places this car squarely into collectible status. 3, the Tessa Roaster is not only limited production, but has a unique cult following. It started the EV revolution as the first electric vehicle production car that survived and launched the world's largest auto company. It was a game-changing design by allowing an electric vehicle to travel over 200 miles for the first time and firmly making EVs a practical alternative to internal combustion engine cars, and combined with a nationwide charging network, essentially creating the EV equivalent of a network of nationwide gas stations. Not only does it define an era, but it was at the forefront of triggering the biggest technological disruption since the Industrial Revolution. These videos are designed to take current trends and clues, extrapolate, interpret, and coalesce them into possibilities, defining, charting, and predicting what may become our new realities. Along with many other trend-setting companies, exploring and charting new frontiers, we hope this information we present challenges your preconceived notions, and expands your vision of the possible. As always, we appreciate you visiting our channel and hope we have left you with a thought-provoking experience, inspiring you to participate in the movement toward planet-saving initiatives. I'm Pete Gruber. Thank you for joining us.